And so, watch what she goes on to say. Verse 16, my bed is spread with beautiful blankets of linen with colored sheets of Egyptian linen with soup. She got them on the Home Shopping Network. Verse 17, I perfume my bed with myrrh and aloes and cinnamon and Chanel number 5. Verse 18, come, let's drink our fill of love until morning. Let's enjoy each other's caresses, my ñaca. And then it goes into verse 19, for my husband is not home. What? Whoa, hey, time out. We were headed in the right direction here, and all of a sudden you say, my husband's not home? Houston, we have a problem. Men, don't be foolish. If a woman is going after you, she's married, watch out. Watch out. Don't let them breasts fool you. They sting. What I'm telling you, I'm trying to save you some counseling. I'm trying to save you some divorce paper. I put my friend here to work for your attorney. I'll save you some time. Listen to me when I say, don't be fooled. Don't be fooled. Not everything that looks like honey tastes like honey. Sometimes it's rotten milk. Oh, you get that one when you get home. Oh, it's getting tight in here. Watch what she says in verse 20. This lady, oh my God, he has taken a wallet full of money with him and won't return until later this month. Verse 21, so she seduced him with her pretty speech and enticed him with her flattery. He followed her at once, verse 22, like an ox going to the slaughter. Watch the trap. He was like a stag caught in a trap. Verse 23, awaiting the arrow that would pierce its heart. He was like a bird flying into a snare, little knowing it would cost him his life. So verse 24, so listen to me, my sons. Pay attention to my words. Verse 25, don't let your heart stray away towards her. Don't wander down her wayward path. And watch what it says in 26, for she has been the ruin of many. Many men have been her victims. Verse 27, her house is the road to the grave. Her bedroom is the den of death. I'm going to tell you right now, some sex is not worth the grave. I'm just telling you right now, keep it in your pants, suck it up, and do whatever you got to do, because some things are not worth the pain later. 3 minutes of pleasure are not worth 30 years of consequence. Trust me when I tell you that. Trust me when I tell you that. And don't be the fool to think, I won't get caught. Bill Clinton got caught. Yeah. Don't be fooled. Especially if you call yourself a Christian. God says, anything that says that belongs to me, I will make the light come out. In darkness, I will make it come out. All right, that's now watch this. You've heard this story before, so I'm going to go right into it. John 4:1. This is what the sermon is really based upon. That was the foundation. Watch what it says in verse 1. Jesus knew the Pharisees had heard that he was baptizing and making more disciples than John. Verse 2. Though Jesus himself didn't baptize, his disciples did. Verse 3 says he left Judea and returned to Galilee. Verse 4, he had to go to Samaria on the way. Verse 5, eventually he came to Samaritan village of Sychar, and it says near the field that Jacob gave to his son Joseph. Verse 6, Jacob's well was there, and Jesus, tired from the long walk, sat wearily beside the well. About when? About when? Noontime. I want you to understand what is going on right here. Jesus Christ is coming from Judea. He's headed to Galilee, and he has walked a long road. He's coming along, and he has to go through this place. Now, while we say that he has to go through that place, it'd be easy to say that that would be part of the purpose. But I want you to understand that in God there is no such thing as coincidence. There's no such thing as luck. It is divine appointment. The people that God places in front of you, certain circumstances, certain situations, you say, oh man, it just happened. No, it didn't happen. God ordained it in his perfect will for you to connect with certain people. So watch what happens here in verse 7. Soon a Samaritan woman came to draw water, and Jesus said to her, please give me a drink. Let us preach. Here's what we got going on. Jesus has walked. He has taken this journey Some of you may not understand how long the journey was. Judea to Galilee was going to be a 70-mile journey on foot. All right? Please keep in mind, no buses, trains, subways, cars, horses for that matter. This was not a religious setup by Jesus. This was not him sitting in the well waiting to see who he could talk to. This was Jesus in his human nature, walking, getting tired, sees a well, sits down and says, oh my God, I am so thirsty. Now we also know the day of time that it was, but it was noontime. Back then, noontime is like noontime here in the summer. It was hot. Now, I know some of you are saying, I can't wait for that heat to come back. Some of you have had it with this weather already. Like, I'm tired of this weather. Don't complain about the weather. Because when it's hot, you want it to be cold. When it's cold, you want it to be hot. When it's sunny, you want it to rain. And when it rains, you complain about the mud. So just don't complain. Just enjoy the season. And so Jesus is walking through. He's walking through and he sees a well. A well only serves one purpose. It only serves one purpose, and that is to satisfy a need. The need was thirst. The need was to hydrate. It is perfectly normal to assume that Jesus may have been a bit dehydrated from this journey. And Jesus was thirsty. Now let me give you a little insight of the Samaritan woman, who we do not know her name, but we know where she comes from. This is a Samaritan woman. This is not a good girl. This is not a good woman. This is not a woman that Jews would ever connect to, or would want to talk to, would want to relate to. This is not a friend you want to talk to. Much less, you don't want a man to talk to a woman, especially if she is Samaritan. It doesn't look right. It doesn't look right. So we have Jesus on the hottest. We have this woman coming on the hottest point of the day. You have to ask yourself, why was this woman headed to the well? Well, you have to understand culture back in the day. Back in the day, between 11 to 2 to 3 was the hottest time of the day, sort of like here. So what would people do back in the day? They would take naps during this time. But because this woman knew that most people would take naps during this time, she said, now is my time to get the water. It's not the most comfortable time to do it. It's the hottest part of the day, but at least I'm not going to face people. Stay with me, church. She said, I got to go during this time because I don't want to run into any PS. I don't want to run into any problem. I don't want to run into anybody. I don't want to talk to nobody. I don't want people to judge me because she had a bad rap. And we'll get into that in just a minute. She had a bad rap. And so she said, I'm going to go. I'm going to get my water. And here we have it. Now she comes up to the well, and oh well, who does she run into? A man. She did not know it was Jesus. Stay with me, church. You're going to make it sense. Let the end right. Just stay with me. Verse 8. Look what happens in verse 8. He was alone at the time because his disciples had gone into the village to buy some food. Now, that's right there, red flag. You see, Jesus was rarely alone. In fact, he had never ever let his disciples go alone either, for the sake of traps, for the sake of temptation. In fact, the only time, for the most part, when Jesus was alone was when he had to be tempted. And he was being separated. But here, he is alone while the 12 disciples see what they can scrounge up to eat. They are tired, they are thirsty, and the Bible says he was alone at the time. Verse 9. The woman was surprised. Watch. For Jews refused to have anything to do with Samaritans. She said to Jesus, you are a Jew, and I am a Samaritan woman. Why are you asking me for a drink? Jews and Samaritans would not communicate, should not communicate, better not communicate. Much less if the Jew was a man and the Samaritan was a woman. So now we got things elevating here. We got some drama going on. Because all the things that you shouldn't be doing are happening right in front of our eyes. And they are happening to the man that knew no sin. And that his name is Jesus. Stay with me. Stay with me. Jesus didn't normally travel on the Samaritan road, but he had to go this route. The woman understands her social status, and she is astonished that a Jew would even dare ask a question, open her mouth, and ask her for a simple, do you have a drink? Imagine from far away, if the disciples are here and they see Jesus in the long run and they say, oh my God, is that Jesus? He's with the girl. And it's a Samaritan. Hold on. If I went to the food court in the mall and you knew of a woman with a bad rap, or you knew of a whore, slut, or prostitute, and she was sitting at the food court, and all of a sudden I come up to her to say hello, what would you say? Let me preach. Some of you would get on your phone so quick and message Rubina. Sister. You always have to start with sister. Watch your face. I think I just saw your husband with another woman. Hi, sister. Let me pray for you, sister. And you would take video. And here I'd be with this woman, buying her something to eat, because maybe she has nothing to eat. And we'd be over here looking and saying, what the heck is our pastor doing with that filth? We would be easily quick to judge, to see, to note. We would probably take a selfie with it, post it on Facebook, share it on Twitter. I caught my pastor, he's a marrano. I cannot believe he's doing what he's doing. Watch what it says in verse 10. Jesus replied, if you only knew the gift God has for you and who you are speaking to, you would ask me, and I would give you living water. Watch how everything begins to turn, begins to change. Because here we have Jesus in his human nature. He's thirsty. We're not have to make that up. We're not guessing. He was thirsty. But in the point of need, the tables have been turned. And he says, no, see, you would be worried about me talking to you. You would be asking me for what I have to give you. Oh, church, let me tell you right now, sometimes, you see, thousands and thousands of people had heard of JC. And I say JC, Jesus Christ, he's my boy. They had heard of him. They'd seen him feed the 5,000. They'd seen him resurrect Lazarus. They'd seen him heal the sick and heal the wound and deliver those that were bound in addiction and bound in possession. And everybody, oh man, I've heard of this so-called Jesus. But they were never, ever really able to get close to him. Only a few that were able to get closer. But here we have Jesus in a point of need, and the woman has a one-on-one appointment with Jesus. Oh God, I'm trying to get from your stage. She didn't have to wait for a revival. She didn't have to wait for another great miracle. She is sitting right next to him, and while she's sitting right next to him, she doesn't have a clue who he